want to talk about since we've now concluded that the media is awful.
Yes.
As we have learned, it says Thor: Love and Thunder, Natalie Portman not replacing Chris Hemsworth. Hints Taika Waititi. So again. I think they're lying. I think that absolutely this will end up being one of those things where if she doesn't replace him, the idea is that she's more important now because women in movies. Also,
I thought the whole point was that she's only replacing him in importance in the story.
What do you mean?
Like her character is going to be more instrumental to the story than his.
I don't know
I thought that was the whole point.
I think the context here is just that she comes in. It's based off an actual comic book plot line where she gets powers because she's sick. But it's I just find it weird that first of all, they make it out to like he's like simping for like weirdly. She's like, what's it been like 3 years since we've seen each other? He's like 8 years, 7 months, and 9 days. I'm like, they had all the chemistry of wet noodles in the first two movies, which is why no one would actually buy that. It's also hilarious to think of like a dude who like helped save the world multiple times would care that much about that, having never talked about it in any of the other outings. So in story terms, it's not accurate to the past events of it, but because they need to find a way to fit these themes into these movies now, they ham-fistedly shove it in there, even though it doesn't really work within the context of the character.
I also wished that they had chosen someone else other than Natalie Portman, because to me, she just looks so... she doesn't look like she would be in an action movie.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like it's like she looks uncomfortable. Me and Lydia were talking about this the other night. It was like women are being kind of gaslit into thinking that they want to do things that they really don't want to do. Like, I'm sure she doesn't want to do action movies and bulk up to like twice her normal size to do these roles. She probably just wants to do what she was in, like V for Vendetta and the great. Black Swan, right? Like
this context.
Yeah, in V for Vendetta, she has a role which she's still a feminine character. Who comes into her own power in a unique way, not just somebody who carries around Thor's hammer and has CGI muscles, which
Leon the Professional.
Yes,
same thing. It's like that's an action movie, right? But
yes,
she was still like playing exactly what she looks like in the movie.
Exactly.
Like she wasn't trying to actually be a hitman. The whole point is that she's vulnerable and a child.
I developed my strongest respect for Mary when I found out she had seen the movie Leon the Professional.
We'll hint this.
So it says following the release of the Thor: Love and Thunder trailer, new images featuring Natalie Portman as the mighty Thor have been released with the comments from director Taika Waititi, who confirms they are following the Marvel comic books pretty close. We stick pretty close to Jane's storyline. Thank you.
This time.
And what happened to Jane, because that was a huge influence on the film. They're talking about her storyline where she got sick. We're trying to take the best parts of that, what Waititi told Total Film Magazine. He also comments on fans thinking that Natalie Portman's Thor is going to replace Chris Hemsworth because that is what Marvel has been doing as of late. That's why they call it the MCU now, and Phase Bore. Because that is what Marvel has been doing as of late. But Waititi says that he doesn't think so and hints that there's more to come from Hemsworth in the MCU. The biggest tragedy of this is he very much, like, you can tell that Chris Hemsworth loves playing this character and he gets a tremendous amount of joy from it. And you very rarely these days get people that seem to actually want to play these characters for like real reasons other than to just build their portfolio and move on to bigger and better things.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like Keanu Reeves loves playing John Wick, and Robert Downey Jr. at one loved playing Iron Man.
Yeah.
Johnny Depp loved playing Captain Jack Sparrow before Amber Heard crapped the bed.
Yeah.
He was one of the rare actors in that series that got humiliated too. If you got spoilers if you haven't watched Avengers, but like his character like gets fat and becomes like drug addicted and like basically completely like beside himself, and this guy's supposed to be like a Norse god.
Yep.
Right.
So it's like obviously the guy who looks the role, acts the role, fits the role has to be turned into some man baby just to be put in his place.
Turned into a simp.
They also do the BS in the trailer where they talk about the mantle of Thor. It is not a mantle. His name is actually Thor. His name is Thor Odinson. Like you don't like
That's
it.
his name,
It's like when they try to turn James Bond like James Bond is a code name. I'm like, no, it's not.
it's not.
That's an
That's a
actual.
person.
That's an actual person. It's an actual character. You shouldn't even be doing it with the likes of Spider-Man and Batman and all these others. Those characters, who that character is out of their costume is every bit as important to who they are in the costume. You can't just change like we talked about earlier about faithful adaptation. You can't just change it for the sake of modern storytelling and subverting expectations, because people that actually care about this crap will just reject it. I think Marvel is unique in getting away with it because the people who love Marvel just love like not the comics. The people who love Marvel movies just love Marvel movies and will just let you shovel down any old like. There's somebody like tried to like Eternals was great. I'm like, was it though? Was it real? No.
Or are you just a non-player character that sits
like-
in front of a screen and turns your brain off?
I'm like, if you want to make arguments about other movies in those franchises, sure, but let's not be ridiculous.
The people who love Marvel movies and are like really crazy about them are kind of a smaller faction, but then the rest of the audience that comes in droves to see that literally just turns their brain off, like click, and they're just like,
Yep. Marvel
like
movie, yay.
They also strip Thor of all his clothes in public, and people
is that uncensored?
It's not uncensored in the trailer. I don't know if they're going to show that in the movie, but it's really funny because you have to watch like Valkyrie and Jane Foster like eating and like kind of like joking about it smugly. I would love to see the absolute meltdown if it was Jane Foster who had all her clothes removed and Thor was like sitting there joking with someone about her being
this relates back to the conversation we were having about the Broadway show where that clip of that guy who was nude in the Broadway show was leaked. It's literally just because an image of a man without clothes is less valuable than an image of a woman without clothes. It's not taken as seriously because it's not as serious.
But I also there's also when I see articles, I'll see articles from when we're researching all this stuff from feminist magazines that are like, quit objectifying women, and then it's and then the next article is like the top 10 times Chris Hemsworth took his shirt off in the Thor movie.
But that's just women LARPing as men. That's
what?
Like that.
Oh my God, we ruined it.
We just ditched Dane.
We ditched Dane the whole sorry guys.
Why didn't you say anything?
I just did.
You just noticed.
I just saw it in chat and I was like,
that was absolutely my fault,
Dane
guys.
is a disembodied voice. We like Dane as a disembodied voice.
Yes. Sorry about that. Big yikes on my part.
Big yikes.
He's used to only having one guest.
Yes.
Biggest of yikes.
Big yikes on my part. Yep.
Boo.
Sorry about that, guys.
Oh, well.
It's Dane's taking it personally right now. He's like,
I'm not.
He's like, is Brett saying
You
something?
also misspelled his name. It's actually Dave.
Yeah. There's an
well,
N.
I'm also Linda, so
funny
whatever.
joke.
Where the
Funny
V should
ha-ha.
be. Do you prefer to go by Dave now?
I prefer the patron saint of White Boy Summer, but sure.
Okay.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Perfect.
That's better. I agree.
So you think that because
I'm saying those listicles of top 10 times Chris Hemsworth took his shirt off or whatever. That's literally not real. That's just Cosmo women.
But I'm saying they're
Cosmo
on
boss babes pretending to be men.
But they're on the
pretending
same...
that they think like men.
I think you might be right.
It's LARPing.
And
they don't actually objectify men. They just want to feel like they do because it's a power play.
Right.
It's even worse.
I like that.
It's even that's even more depressing.
It's embarrassing.
I didn't get that.
But I'm just saying the think about if it was the other way around thing doesn't exactly follow.
I want to understand that. So why is it not objectifying them?
Because women just don't think that way.
I think she might be right.
They're
I think
creating
the
those
writing
articles
that
because
are
they
faking
feel
it.
this is how we're gonna turn around this
we're equal to men.
Yeah.
We're second-rate men.
Yeah, exactly. It's more of the
guys.
second-rate man thing.
Mm-hmm.
They want to feel like they can turn it around on men and this power play, where they're the ones being the objectifiers. But really, they don't even care.
But if a men's site does that, hottest women, they don't also make an article that says why you shouldn't objectify men.
And man, here's why I really once again love Japanese developers, because they kind of ingrain sex differences within their games. For example, Street Fighter. Different characters. I'm gonna keep it simple, not to bore the hell out of everyone that doesn't play games. There's male characters and there's female characters, right? Typically, male characters have more life and do more damage.
Yeah.
given the implication that guys are like a bit like like more
Stronger.
rugged,
Yeah.
and the women characters usually do less damage and have less life. However, they're quicker. Like they're
So it's actually accurate to
right.
Yeah,
and
interesting.
so in games, like maybe I have to switch to a female character because I'm getting outran and I need like the speed and the flexibility or what have you. And whereas like if a game would be made by a woke person, it's like press a button and wham and wins, and like you lose that character select screen from picking a man. It's just like it's ridiculous.
I think that also comes from the freedom to create without feeling like you're handcuffed, like we discussed earlier. Like
Yeah.
you can be more logical in your creative process, if that makes sense. If you don't have to feel like every decisions you're making is going to be governed by who complains about your project next.
Yeah.
But it's like being big and burly is not the only blessing life can give you. There's some creatures that they can create a life
That's pretty cool too.
within their bodies.
That's kind of cool.
I
And
think they're
that's-
called Wimixen.
So that's
Those
pretty
creatures.
based.
Yeah, that's rad, right? That's very
That's
cool.
kind of.
It's
I've
like a
heard birthing
superpower.
people. I don't know.
I've heard bleeders. That's good. too.
Folks is
solid.
the other one I heard the other day.
X.
Folks with an X. That's that
Folks.
is yes. Folks with an X. So they finally showed Christian Bale as Gore the God Killer, or God the God Butcher. Excuse me. And the one thing I would have changed about that is that I would have done more production to his voice to give it a different tone, because I hear him in there, and I would have liked to have heard whether they audibly lowered the tone of his voice or did something to give it more of like an echoey sound. I feel like it would have added to the presentation of that character. But somebody pointed out, somebody said something really funny. They said, "Why is Marilyn Manson attacking Evan Rachel Wood in this trailer?" Because it looks like he does kind of look like it when he takes the hood off. It kind of looks like a discount '90s Marilyn Manson.
That's funny.
So I don't know. I don't really care about the men and women part of it. I just think it's funny that they also CGI'd muscles on her. You can absolutely see it if you look at the freeze frames. She does
So
not.
stupid.
She doesn't need to look like a man. The character, like
But
she's
she
literally,
does.
it's magic. Anyways, it's not like she's it's not like Thor in any way is a human character anyway, or nor is her the power she's using to wield the hammer. They don't need to make her look visually like that. You can do that with her normal aesthetic.
But if the only strength that matters is brute strength,
Right. Which is
then
what they think.
They have to resort to that.
So here's what I'm saying. Like they're so misogynist that they can't even conceive of like a feminine quality that would be positive to give to a superhero.
Right?
Like, for example,
Like creating.
pretty much every woman I know has a better like perceptive vision than me. Like why can't they make us a superhero woman with like incredible vision?
Better.
Women see colors better. Do you know why that is?
Yeah, because we used to pick berries.
Also,
Stuff
it's
like that.
Evolutionarily, it's because women can see when your child develops a temperature, so they're able to tell when he's getting a fever.
Interesting.
At least that's
That'd
what.
be a good point too. My understanding is that men have better depth perception, which is what makes them objectively better drivers.
Yeah, spatial awareness.
Yeah, they have better spatial awareness because they used to hunt.
Yep.
And then women can see color
Oh,
better.
right.
because-
Yeah.
But
Men
what can
have
Wimixen
like
do?
navigation skills, but women understand directions by landmarks.
Yeah. So it's
Latinx
very
has had
different.
everything, so that's
Yeah,
why I
that's true.
tower above you
It's
all.
true, he does. We're near peons.
So
Me
it's
and Brett.
It would be very me. The 5'5" me towers
you're
over
towering,
everyone here.
it's true.
It would be very interesting to see a brave soul try to develop something where they literally focus on the best traits of men and women and use those as like the inspiration for the power sets that they give
That's
them.
not allowed. You have to negate everyone's.
You're not allowed to be
humanity.
a woman anymore. You have to be a second-rate
It's
man.
like
Second
it's
rate
not
man.
even
Yeah.
misogyny. It's literally just anti everyone.
Right.
Yeah, it is.
It's
is
anti the
everyone.
human species. It's
Jord-
anti story.
Jordan Peterson says that opportunity lies where responsibility is being shirked. And I think that's entirely correct. And this is one of those instances where this is something that somebody could be doing. Like, there is an opportunity here. No one's doing it.
Yeah.
Hopefully, maybe Tim Cass can get in on some of that.
Well, this is the era of our opportunity because like all everyone is doing is
Every
sticking to
responsibility,
exactly the same
so
story.
boring.
Everyone is
Yeah.
infinitely predictable and boring and tepid.
Corporate.
And that's why I'm guessing the show's growing at the rate that it is because like we're not.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're a little
Yep.
different.
So it's it just, and people are starved for something that just doesn't adhere to the standard paint by numbers narrative that these things are made on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Marvel movies have built-in audience, so that's a little bit different. But DC right now, they just axed all of the CW shows other than Thanks.
Woo!
Dane loved
Super
that.
chat.
They axed everything but Stargirl and Superman and Lois, which are both classically done stories, which are far more like it's very standard storytelling. Like I love it. Like Superman and Lois, though it has some bad moments in season 2, usually around the Lana storyline, in general has been very, very good. And you get a lot of classic storytelling, and that's what people want. That's why those shows or Stargirl are going to continue on. And Batwoman. Sorry, I can't say. I tried.
Nixon.
I actually tried to say Batwoman and couldn't do it. You have to say Whammon.
Cringe.
It's not on purpose. It's a reflex. That and all the other shows like that. Naomi got canceled, though objectively Naomi was actually fairly accurate to the source material. It's just bad source material. It's just generic Superman. Those shows will continue to go down once these networks realize that they can't subsidize those properties anymore, meaning they don't have the extra money to allow those shows to go 3 seasons anymore.
Yeah.
So we will see where that goes, but I have a little bit of hope for the future.
And I do feel like the cultural tide is shifting a little bit.
I've pointed, like, I've been very hesitant in the past to ever say that, but I've allowed myself to get a little bit.
The vibe shifting.
Yes.
Definitely. I think
I've
you're
allowed
right.
myself to get a little hopeful lately, which is always a bad
Very
thing.
dangerous.
So, Super Chats.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Waffles Sensei says, when we saw Cap catch Mjolnir, the theater erupted because, like, we all knew Steve Rogers was worthy, but apparently any random chick is also worthy.
Boo.
As we know, that was always going to happen. I'm surprised they didn't bring her back for the third one, but my hope is that they just move on and don't continue with the. You could use Valkyrie and maybe give Valkyrie and Jane Foster their own like weird buddy cop series spinoff that would have 10 years ago would have had Melissa McCarthy in it somehow, and just do that. Nobody will want to see it, but since it's got a Marvel name on it, people will go see it anyways.
Yeah,
So.
exactly.
Is there one more?
Yes.
There is, yeah.
Taryn Jones says, ladies, so true. True feminism would promote femininity as strength. God didn't make us different by accident. We don't need to be men.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
One of the things that I found the most, when I finally saw Terminator Dark Fate, and you see the way that Sarah Connor talks about motherhood with disdain is actually really disturbing to me. Like, it's very clear what the writers think of that of her role, in nurturing and motherhood. The way that they talk about it is very depressing.
To be fair, you don't have to love the idea of being a mother. If we are going to embrace the individual, there has to be space for people who don't think that's what they should do in life, and that's okay. But the concept of trying to influence culture away from something like motherhood seems evil, almost. They're just trying to destroy. They're not creating anything positive.
Nagging the only thing all of us have in common,
Right?
without exception.
Right.
A mother.
Yep.
Though, to be honest, like you said, like I'm drawing larger cultural implications to a story that a single or
Right,
couple
yeah.
people wrote. You can't apply that gravity of tone to everything that one person writes. So
Right.
it is fair to be more even-handed when you discuss something like that. So.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.
Bye.